Hey there, everybody. Hope you're having a nice Dead by Daylight. I know I sure am. It seems that Dead Hard as a perk cannot catch a break when it comes to the Dead by Daylight player base. People are once again talking about it, most likely due to the fact that Otsdarva made a couple of tweets about Dead Hard. Of course, the discussion never really fully died down. I think it was slowing down a little bit, the whole discussion about Dead Hard and frustrations around it. But it seems that the hornet's nest has been kicked and now people are up in arms again. I have talked about Dead Hard twice now on the channel in two separate videos. I've given kind of my thoughts and opinions on the perk. If you've watched those videos, then you probably understand that I am a Dead Hard supporter. I don't think the perk needs a nerf really at all. I think maybe at most it needs a few tweaks here and there, iron out some of the kinks, but it is so far from needing a nerf that it's fine. It's fine the way it is. I actually quite like playing against Dead Hard as killer. I think the whole mind games it activates is really cool. I think it does a lot for the chase aspect of the game. I really love when you're out in the open with a survivor and you have to play that kind of Dead Hard dance where you're waiting to see if they time the animation correctly and all that nonsense. I think it activates a lot of really fun plays from the whole looping scenario of the game. Activates a lot of really cool stuff, and that's why people really run the perk so much, because it's a fun perk to run. That being said, I do think it's really funny, almost ironic even, that the killer sort of equivalent to the Dead Hard, like, perk, whatever, people are hating on Eruption, which is, a killer perk. I think it's really funny that, killer players or some people out there will complain about waiting maybe on average 4 to 8 seconds for a perk, when Eruption forces survivors to wait 25 seconds just to even play the game again. I think that's really funny. I haven't made a video on Eruption yet. I might plan to on the future, but I feel like it's a lot easier to talk about Eruption. It's kind of bullshit. It's just the pressure Eruption emits for very little payoff, or very little, you don't have to put too much work into getting Eruption to give you a lot of value, in my opinion. There's my TLDR about Eruption. It's definitely a perk that needs a nerf. Dead Hard, though, I think the existence of Dead Hard is actually stopping something far worse from existing in Dead by Daylight when it comes to survivor perks. Like I said, as we know, people run Dead Hard because it's a fun perk. It's not the most consistent exhaustion perk in the game. In fact, there are far more consistent exhaustion perks. There are far better exhaustion perks out there. One of those being Sprint Burst. In fact, even when Dead Hard was the old kind of bullshit version of it, where, you clicked and got literal free distance, there was still an argument for whether Sprint Burst was stronger. At the very least, it was more consistent, as even old Dead Hard had its weird connection problems and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that Dead Hard exists, and that some people run it because it's fun, we have to be careful if we're going to nerf Dead Hard. If you nerf Dead Hard, and I'm going to be real, a lot of the nerfs I've seen, nerf ideas I've seen behind Dead Hard, basically make the perk nearly useless. No one's going to run it. A lot of those people that were running Dead Hard, if it theoretically got nerfed super hard into being basically a niche or really useless perk, are going to flock to a different exhaustion perk. Chances are they're going to flock to Sprint Burst, which is the next strongest choice. As you can even do some of the similar Dead Hard mind games with Sprint Burst in relation to 99ing your Sprint Burst. You can bait killers into swinging, and if you time the speed boost right, they end up missing a swing. Not exactly the same, but it's very similar. And I think I speak for a lot of people in saying that I would much rather play against 4 Dead Hards than I ever would want to play against 4 Sprint Bursts. 4 Sprint Bursts as killer, especially if you're on a killer that doesn't have a lot of movement speed, especially if you're on a 110 killer like Huntress or Trickster, who doesn't have movement speed and is slower, it is the most miserable experience in the entire game. You have to effectively waste time just to get into chase with someone. And I think that if we go and end up nerfing Dead Hard to the point where it's not, that useful, and I know it's a little hyperbolic to completely disregard a lot of the other exhaustion perks, you got to be ready for the subsequent possibility that people are going to start running a lot more sprint bursts. And I don't know about you, I see enough sprint bursts in my game already, and that might be on average like one dude that has sprint bursts. I don't want to ever see more sprint bursts in my fucking games. If you've ever played against 4 sprint bursts, it is some of the worst shit in the absolute world. So I'm all for the Dead Hard's existence as a more fun perk, as it enables more mind games, as I don't like having to spend X amount of time just to even start a chase with a survivor. That being said, I have thought of one more small tweak to Dead Hard that could be a thing. I know there's a lot of people that complain about the whole Dead Hard at pallets, which is understandable. It can be a very connection-based game. I usually counter Dead Hard at pallets. It's very easy to see if someone's going to Dead Hard. If they go for an extra loop, if they're looking behind them, if they seem extra greedy, chances are they got Dead Hard, dude. They're not an idiot. They got Dead Hard. You get to the pallet, what are they going to do? They're going to Dead Hard. They don't want to drop the pallet yet. You just wait. You wait like half a second, you swing, you get the down. It usually works out for me. Sometimes it doesn't, but I think that's because I've timed my swing improperly. I timed it too late, and they were able to pull down a pallet. If you really wanted to make that whole Dead Harding at pallets a little less effective, just make it so Dead Hard's animation has a little bit of end lag. Make it so you just can't, like, drop a pallet or vault a window for, like, half a second or some shit like that. I'm just throwing that out there. That's another tweak I just came up with. I've come up with a lot of other tweaks for Dead Hard, but most of the suggestions I've seen, I'm going to be real, are absolute shit. I'm not even saying mine are that good. I'm just saying mine at least keep the spirit of the perk alive and make it still a fun perk. I have seen some downright nasty suggestions that just completely ruin the perk, and it's like, why would anyone even run this? And then what are you going to get? You're going to start seeing a lot more sprint bursts, which is essentially kind of what I'm trying to say in this video is if we're tackling Dead Hard, we should be a little careful for the kind of impending doom that could exist of 4 sprint bursts in your game. Hell, even Lithe is more consistent than Dead Hard. I will die on that hill that Lithe currently is better than Dead Hard, especially when you get to like a cracked window. If you get to like some annoying god window as killer, they vault it, you know you already wasted a ton of time having to go around the window, and then you find out they have Lithe. Dude, I'm molding already. I'm just like, oh my god. But that's it. That's the video. Really short. I've kind of talked about Dead Hard enough, I feel like. But I figured I'd weigh in one last time while the iron is still hot on the subject matter. Hope you guys have a nice day. Remember to like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed it. It supports the channel, all that nonsense, yada, yada, yada. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.